Hi, my name is Anne and I would like to talk about my projects for Doing Time Studio. Hello Harkness, my old friend. With the idea of exploring endurance art and the time-based art practices, one of our homework is to write one favorite quote that resonates our interest for interior design. My chosen quote was "To leave means to leave traces" by Walter Benjamin, and throughout the first half of the semester, I have been exploring the notions of boundary as fluid, questioning the different conditions of the boundary, age of each interior, such as contracting, expanding, and changing in forms. In the second half of the semester, we worked on a project which proposes a series of interventions or interiors over the next 100 years at Harkness, which will be the future Memorial Park in Melton. My project name is Reciprocity, means the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefits. The given site is 128 hectares of farmland at Harkness in Melton. It's located in a rain shadow area, which means that there are low level of rain, eventually making it harder to grow tree. The plant that used to be grown here were mainly wheat and barley, so sometimes used to raise cattle. So therefore, it will require a number of years to develop into a memorial park, so the unoccupied land will need to be used for some purposes before being filled with the cemetery areas. There's the Gilgai Woodland Reserve at the northwest corner, which is the last remnant of a larger woodland, home for various native animals and endangered species. Gilgai, which means small waterhole, is a characteristic of the soils that create ephemeral ponds after rain falls. There is Arnold Creek that connects two sides of the Gilgai, heading to the Werribee River. The current Arnold's Creek development and water management plan by the City of Melton have set some goals to create a stronger interactions with the waterway, creating larger wetland and the natural habitats, planting new trees and revegetation of native plants. Initially, my idea was to extend Arnold Creek's program to Harkness. The extensions connects Harkness to the community that links to the Werribee River. The design development involves developing a landscape and placing walking paths along the actual creeks, revegetation of native plant from the Gilgai, which is pretty much similar to what is proposed in the Arnold Creek's development programs. One of the things I notice about the Harkness is the rows of harvested hays mainly follow the boundaries, which are the four main roads. So I was curious and did some searches about the changes in Australian landscape and just want to know how the street and roads were formed. One of the reading that I found is how colonialisms formed Melbourne grids. Also, another one show a significant shift in landscape ecology, changes in agriculture practices post-colonization. So the impression that I have during the site visit is that this seemed to be a very large and flat landscape. So I looked at mainly precedent that work with the landscape scale, or another term is land art. Nancy Holt sun tunnels interiorize large landscape and configurations of the star constellation through the tunnels. The sun can be viewed through concrete tubes that were placed at specific direction in the middle of a desert in Utah. Other precedents during research into death industry in memorial parks in Melbourne, including repairs by Miller Architecture and Faulkner Cemeteries, also shows how landscapes of the memorial parks were determined and vegetation around the aged conditions of each burial site are formed. For my design, I want to develop a strategy to use the land while waiting for the cemetery to take place by incorporating methods that can help revitalize the land, expanding the footprints of the Gilgai native trees within the Harkness. Within the design process, I created a simulation of sun trajectory to work out directions of a shadow throughout the day on winter and summer solstice day. Based on this trajectory, I set up an iteration of layout with the aim to recreate a framed interior moment of sunset and sunrise on a specific days in a year at Harkness. Also, the sun diagram study helps to provide a guideline for the revegetations of the gum tree from the Gilgai. With the plan to occupy Harkness, the tree to be grown are native trees from the woodland along the direction of the sun trajectory instead of following the boundary of the site, which was defined based on the colonial ways of forming roads. In the next 100 years, each of these blocks of land will be used to grow and farm indigenous plant. And over time, these native farming areas will eventually be replaced and given back to be used as burials or memorial sites. The reason why I want to use or grow indigenous plants at Harkness is because indigenous plants are known to be better adapting to soil, require less water and fertilizations, better and create lighter soil, provide food for native animals around the Gilgai woodland. Also because of the benefit that it created for the soil, it helps to prepare a more nutritious soil and for more eco-burial practices. And I also would like to promote the indigenous farming practices, since the native agriculture and aquaculture practices are advanced and more suitable for the country and motherland, which require less effort to maintain. Therefore, after 100 years, what is left is the expansions of Gilgai gum tree throughout the Harkness sites. Thank you for listening.
Like my tourist is literally. I could go to Kilora and like find kangaroos there. When I was playing